The grand hall of the Galactic Council sparkled with light from 3 different suns, streaming through crystal walls that towered hundreds of feet high. Captain James Walker of Earth stood tall despite feeling small among the alien dignitaries. His blue uniform, decorated with the silver and gold pins of Earth Command, felt stiff against his skin. "Breathe normally," he whispered to himself, remembering that the air mix had been adjusted for human comfort. This was humanity's big moment. First contact officially recognized, Earth joining the galactic community after years of preparation. Walker's team stood behind him. Dr. Mark Stone, science advisor with graying hair and steady hands. Lisa, Reed, security chief whose sharp eyes missed nothing. And Ben Taylor, communications expert who had mastered 6 alien languages in just 2 years. "The Council recognizes Earth's representatives," announced the tall, willowy being at the center platform. High Counselor Dren of the Valorians had skin that seemed to shimmer like polished metal. His forearms moved in gentle waves as he spoke. "We welcome our new friends from the challenging world designated as Earth." Walker noticed the pause before friends, but kept his diplomat's smile firmly in place. "We thank the Council for this honor," Walker replied, bowing slightly. "Earth looks forward to peaceful exchange of knowledge and trade with all species." The gathered aliens, over 30 different species, made various sounds of welcome. Some clicked, others hummed, a few flashed colors across their skin. But Walker, watching carefully, saw many exchange glances that didn't match their welcoming noises. "They're putting on a show," Reed whispered from behind him, her military training making her suspicious by nature. The welcome ceremony continued with speeches and formal introductions. Walker met representatives from worlds with names his tongue struggled to pronounce: Ardani, Valorian, Zithrak, Pelnar, and more. Each greeting seemed friendly but carried an undercurrent he couldn't quite name. Later at the reception, Walker sipped a drink safe for human consumption while watching the aliens mingle. The Ardani, who had made first contact with Earth, kept their distance now. "Strange. Captain Walker," a voice bubbled nearby. A small, round alien with large eyes approached. "I am Trill Ambassador Kale. May we speak?" Walker nodded, following the Trill to a quiet corner. "Your world is classified as a death world, Captain," Kale said quietly. "So we've been told. High gravity, diverse biosphere, extreme weather. Makes humans naturally stronger than many species," Walker replied. "It also makes many council members afraid." Kale's voice lowered further. "Be careful with the agreements you sign." Before Walker could ask more, High Counselor Dren glided over, breaking up their conversation. The Trill bowed and quickly moved away. "Captain Walker, I hope you find everything satisfactory," Dren said. All 4 hands clasped before him in what Walker had learned was a gesture of formal politeness. "Very much so, High Counselor. We appreciate the Council's hospitality." Good. Dren's silver eyes blinked slowly. "Tomorrow we begin the formal process of integration. Trade routes, territorial boundaries, technology exchange limitations. Standard procedure, I assure you." Walker nodded, though the words, limitations and boundaries, caught his attention. "We look forward to it." 3 weeks later, Walker stared at the final agreement documents in Earth's assigned quarters. The terms were not what humanity had hoped for. "This is insulting," Reed said, pacing the room. "They've restricted us to just 12 systems for colonization. The Ardani alone have 40. And the technology sharing section," Stone added, pointing to a glowing paragraph. "They want everything we know about our propulsion advances, but they're classifying nearly all their medical technology as not suitable for Death World species." Walker rubbed his forehead. "Something isn't right here. These aren't equal terms." Ben Taylor looked up from his datapad. "I've been monitoring their communications as best I can. There's a phrase they keep using when they think we can't hear. Containment protocol." The room fell silent. "You think they're trying to contain us? Why?" Walker asked. Reed stopped pacing. "Because they're afraid of us. Deathworlders. We're stronger, more durable. We evolved on a planet that would kill most of them in days. Walker shook his head. We've shown no aggression. We've followed every diplomatic protocol. Maybe that's not enough, Stone suggested. Maybe what we are matters more than what we've done. The next day, Walker signed the agreements despite their unfavorable terms. Earth needed this alliance, needed to establish itself in the galactic community. They could work to improve terms later. 2 months into Earth's membership in the Galactic Council, Lisa Reed couldn't shake her suspicions. She had noticed patterns, how Earth representatives were kept from certain meetings, how trade ships were searched more thoroughly than others, how information was carefully filtered. One night, while most of the council complex slept, Reed slipped through the dim corridors. Her security access had been officially limited, but Taylor had helped her bypass certain systems. She reached the records chamber and placed her hand on the scanner, holding her breath. The door slid open. Inside, data streams flowed through crystalline storage units. Reed connected her device and began downloading files marked with Earth's designation code. Minutes ticked by painfully slowly. A noise in the corridor froze her in place. Footsteps approached, then passed. Reed exhaled and checked her device. Download complete. Back in their quarters, Reed, Walker, Stone, and Taylor reviewed the stolen files. This can't be right, Walker whispered as the evidence mounted before them. They've classified us as a Level 1 threat species. They've been planning containment since before we even arrived. Reed pointed to another document. Look at this. Economic restrictions designed to slow our growth. Political isolation strategies. They're building a cage around us, Captain. The worst document came last. A council directive marked highest priority, with signatures from 26 species representatives. Eventual neutralization of the human expansion threat may become necessary, Walker read aloud, his voice hollow. Solutions ranging from genetic modification to sterilization protocols should be researched as contingency measures. The room fell into stunned silence. Humans had come seeking friendship among the stars. Instead, they had found fear and prejudice. Walker stood up, his face hardening with resolve. Get a secure message to Earth Command immediately. They need to know what we're dealing with. What will we do? Stone asked. Walker looked at each of them, his eyes narrowing. For now, we play their game. We smile. We bow. We follow their rules. But we start preparing. Preparing for what? Taylor asked. For the day Deathworlders stop playing nice, Walker replied. And trust me, they're going to remember that day for a very long time. 2 years passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. 2 years of smiling through gritted teeth. 2 years of watching human colonies struggle under ever-tightening restrictions. Admiral Thomas Gray stood on the bridge of the EDF Sentinel, Earth's largest warship, though it was small compared to most Council vessels. The viewport showed the mining colony on Titan IX, a rocky world with valuable minerals that humans had been allowed to settle. Status report, Gray ordered, his voice deep and steady despite his anger. His second-in-command, Officer Jack Wilson, handed him a tablet. Not good, sir. The Council has cut our fuel allocation again. They claim shortages, but the Ardani ships we passed were fully stocked. Gray's jaw tightened. He was a tall man with dark skin and graying hair at his temples, shoulders always squared, from decades in military service. And our colonists? Struggling. The equipment promised by the Valorians arrived broken. Again. Wilson shook his head. The people are working with hand tools to meet the Council's mineral quotas. Gray turned away from the viewport, his face grim. Captain Walker's warnings from 2 years ago had proven correct. The Council wasn't interested in partnership. They wanted to use humans while keeping them weak. Sir, his communications officer called out. Incoming message from Captain Walker. Priority 1. Gray moved to his private screen. James Walker's face appeared, looking tired but determined. Admiral, we need to talk. I'm sending coordinates for a meeting. Official channels aren't safe anymore. 3 days later, Gray's shuttle docked with a small transport vessel in the shadow of a moon, far from regular trade routes. Inside waited Walker, Reed, and a small blue-skinned alien Gray recognized as Ambassador Kale from the Trill species. "Thank you for coming, Admiral," Walker said, shaking Gray's hand firmly. "Your message sounded urgent," Gray replied, "though I don't recall approving alien presence at a confidential meeting." Ambassador Kale stepped forward, large eyes blinking, slowly. "My presence is why this meeting is necessary, Admiral. My people have information you need." They gathered around a holographic display. Lisa Reed, now bearing the rank of Major, activated a secure data cube. "For the past 2 years, we've been gathering evidence," Reed explained as images and documents appeared in the air before them. "The Council isn't just restricting us, they're actively working against us." Walker pointed to a star map. "Notice these patrol routes? Human ships are consistently assigned to the most dangerous sectors. We've lost 17 vessels to pirate. Attacks in regions the Council knew were high risk. The pirates are often Council operatives," Kale added, his voice bubbling with emotion. "They tested this strategy on my people first centuries ago. The Trill were once more numerous, more ambitious. Now we serve as the Council's administrators and technicians." Gray studied the evidence carefully. "They're using us as expendable forces." "Yes," Walker confirmed. "And there's more." "Show him, Reed." Reed brought up new documents. "These are classified Council defense protocols. They've mapped every human settlement, cataloged our defenses, and created detailed invasion plans. Just in case we become problematic." Gray's eyes narrowed. "How did you get these?" "I have a network of trusted humans throughout Council space now," Reed explained. "And the Trill have been helping us. They've suffered under Council rule for generations. They want change." Kale nodded. "My people appear weak and compliant, but we have access to information systems throughout Council space. We've been waiting for allies with the strength to challenge the old order." Gray turned to Walker. "Earth Command needs to see this. We've suspected problems, but this is far worse than we thought." "There's one more thing you need to see," Walker said quietly. He nodded to Reed, who brought up one final document. 2 months ago, the mining colony on Europa 2 was destroyed by what we were told was an asteroid strike," Reed explained. "All 342 colonists killed. We found this in a secure Council military channel. The document showed attack plans, ship movements, and the colony's defenses. At the bottom, High Councilor Dren's authorization signature glowed softly. "They did it deliberately," Gray whispered. "They murdered our people." "They called it preventative action," Walker said, his voice hard. "The colony was exceeding production quotas, growing too successful. They made an example of it." Silence filled the room as the implications sank in. Finally, Gray spoke. "We've been fighting a war without knowing it," he said, "and it's time we started fighting back." 1 month later, Gray stood in a hidden shipyard built inside a hollow asteroid in Earth's solar system. Before him stretched the new pride of Earth's defense fleet, ships built in secret, modified with technology Earth wasn't supposed to have. "How many?" he asked the engineer beside him. 37 combat-ready vessels," the woman replied. "We've incorporated Trill stealth systems and modified our weapons based on what we've learned from captured Council technology." Gray nodded. "And they're not on any official registry?" "No, sir. As far as the Council knows, we only have the 23 ships they've approved." Across the galaxy, a similar scene played out as Walker met with Kale in a secure Trill facility. "My people have completed the communications network," Kale explained, showing Walker a complex web of signal relays hidden throughout Council space. "We can now communicate instantly without the Council monitoring our messages." Walker looked impressed. "And the intelligence network?" "Major Reed's operatives are in place," Kale confirmed. "We have eyes and ears on 17 Council worlds, including the main headquarters." Walker placed a hand on the small alien's shoulder. "Your people have taken a great risk helping us. The Council would consider this treason." Kale's skin darkened to a deeper blue. "What they did to your colony was the real treason. The Council was founded to unite species, not oppress them. Many of us remember the original purpose." Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. Reed's face appeared on a secure screen. Captain, we have a problem. The Council is convening an emergency session about Earth. Our sources say High Counselor Dren is proposing a final solution to the human question. Walker's expression hardened. It's happening sooner than we expected. Alert Admiral Gray. It's time to implement Protocol Prometheus. Reed nodded grimly. Yes, sir. Should I also alert our allies? All of them, Walker replied. The Trill, the Naran traders, even the Pelnar scientists who've been helping us. Tell them it's time. After the communication ended, Kale looked up at Walker with large, solemn eyes. Your species named this protocol after a figure from your mythology, correct? The one who stole fire from the gods? Walker nodded. And gave it to humanity, yes. The gods punished him severely for it. And you're not afraid of punishment? Kale asked. Walker's eyes reflected a cold determination. The Council doesn't understand something fundamental about Deathworlders, Ambassador. We survived on a planet that tried to kill us every day. We evolved facing predators, disasters, disease, and war. We don't fear punishment. What do you fear, then? Kale asked quietly. Walker looked out at the stars visible through the facility's viewport. We fear failing those who depend on us. We fear watching others suffer when we could have acted. And that fear is stronger than any other. As Walker spoke across Council space, humans and their allies began moving into position. The silent war was about to become very, very loud. The day Deathworlders stopped playing nice was nearly upon them. The emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council stretched into its 5th hour. Inside the bunker, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, 14 men and women sat around a circular table. Holographic displays flickered above them, showing maps of Council space and Earth's colonies. President Anna Powell stood at the head of the table. Her silver hair was pulled back tightly, her face lined with the weight of the decisions before them. Let's review what we know, she said firmly. Admiral Gray stepped forward. The Galactic Council has moved from containment to active aggression. They destroyed our colony on Europa 2, killing 342 of our people. We have proof it was deliberate, authorized by High Counselor Dren himself. He tapped controls and new images appeared. Captain Walker's intelligence team has uncovered plans for further preventative actions against our most successful colonies. Meanwhile, they continue to squeeze us with regulations and restrictions. Secretary of Defense Martin Lopez slammed his hand on the table. We should strike first, show them what happens when you threaten humanity. And start a war we might not win? Asked Dr. Helen Ray, head of Science Division. The Council controls thousands of worlds. We have barely established ourselves on 20. President Powell raised her hand for silence. Captain Walker, you've spent the most time among them. What's your assessment? Walker stood from his seat. 2 years of dealing with the Council had aged him. His hair showed streaks of gray and lines had formed around his eyes, but his gaze remained sharp and clear. Madam President, the Council fears us because we're different. They evolved on gentle worlds. We evolved on Earth, a high-gravity death world with extreme weather, dangerous predators, and constant challenges. We're physically stronger than most species, and they believe that makes us naturally aggressive. He pointed to the destroyed colony's image. They're acting out of fear, but they've crossed a line. If we do nothing, they'll take it as weakness and push harder. If we respond with full military force, we confirm their fears and unite them against us. So what do you suggest? President Powell asked. A measured but firm response, Walker replied. We reveal enough of our strength to make them reconsider, but not so much that we trigger an all-out war. Meanwhile, we activate our allies throughout Council space. Admiral Gray nodded in agreement. We've been preparing for this. Project Prometheus is ready. Prometheus? President Powell raised an eyebrow. Our contingency plan, Gray explained. Named after the Titan who gave fire to humanity against the gods' wishes. It has 3 phases: revelation, disruption, and negotiation. Major Reed, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. Her network of spies had grown extensive over the past 2 years. We've positioned our assets throughout Council space. When we give the signal, they're ready to act. President Powell looked at the faces around her. The fate of our species may depend on what we do next. I want options on the table. Far from Earth, on the Council homeworld, Walker stood before High Counselor Dren in the private meeting chamber. Walker had requested this meeting immediately upon receiving news of the Council's emergency session about Earth. Your request for... This meeting is most unusual, Captain Walker, Dren said. The Valorian silver skin rippled slightly, a sign of annoyance. All 4 of his arms were positioned in what Walker had learned was a defensive posture. These are unusual circumstances, High Counselor, Walker replied calmly. He placed a data cube on the table between them. I've brought evidence I believe the full Council should see. Evidence of what, precisely? Dren's voice was cool. Walker activated the cube. Holographic images of Europa 2 appeared, before and after its destruction. Then came the classified Council documents authorizing the attack, complete with Dren's signature. Evidence of mass murder, Walker said quietly. 342 human lives. Men, women, children, colonists, not soldiers, not threats. Dren's silver eyes narrowed. Where did you get these documents? That's your only question, not why you ordered the deaths of innocent people? They were not innocent, Dren replied, his voice hardening. Your colony was exceeding authorized development parameters. Your species cannot be allowed to expand unchecked. Walker felt cold, anger spreading through his chest. So you admit it. It was regrettable but necessary containment, Dren said without emotion. Your species evolved on a world of constant violence. Your history is filled with war. Your biology is designed for aggression. The Council must protect the peaceful species of the galaxy. Walker leaned forward. You've misjudged us, Counselor. Yes, Earth shaped us to be strong. Yes, we've had our wars, but we came to you in peace. We followed your rules. We accepted unfair treaties. And how did you repay us? With sabotage, discrimination, and murder. What will you do, Captain? Dren asked, a hint of mockery in his voice. Go to war against the entire Council? Your few ships against our thousands? Your handful of colonies against our galactic empire? Walker stood up straight. As of today, Earth formally withdraws from all treaties that restrict our development, limit our territories, or control our trade. We remain willing to negotiate new agreements, fair agreements, with individual species or with a reformed Council. This is madness, Dren hissed. You cannot simply withdraw. There will be consequences. There already have been consequences, Walker replied coldly. For 2 years we've suffered under your guidance. No more. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. A word of advice, Counselor. Never back a Deathworlder into a corner. We tend to fight our way out. On Earth, Admiral Gray stood before the newly revealed fleet. 37 warships hovered in formation, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They had been built in secret, hidden from Council observers, modified with technology humans weren't supposed to possess. Are the Prometheus protocols active? Gray asked his communications officer. Yes, sir. Phase 1 complete. Captain Walker has delivered our message to the Council. Our diplomatic teams have withdrawn from Council space. Phase 2 is ready to begin on your command. Gray nodded. And our allies? The Trill have shut down their administrative services across 15 Council worlds. The Naran traders have halted all shipments to Council facilities. The Pelnar scientists have locked their databases. Everything is proceeding according to plan. Gray looked out at his fleet, pride mixing with concern on his weathered face. Send the coded message to all ships. Protocol Prometheus Phase 2 is now active. Throughout Council space, humans who had lived under restrictions for 2 years began moving according to long-established plans. Supply depots experienced mysterious failures. Communication networks developed strange glitches. Transport ships found their navigation systems redirected. Nothing catastrophic, just enough disruption to send a message. On the Council homeworld, Major Reed's network of operatives began releasing classified information to the public networks of all species. The truth about how the Council treated lesser species, the plans for containing humans, the deliberate destruction of Europa 2. In the council chambers, alarmed messages poured in from across the galaxy. High Counselor Dren watched in growing horror as the carefully controlled system began to fracture. "What have they done?" an Ardani representative asked, panic clear in his vibrating voice. "They've stopped playing by our rules," Dren replied, grimly. "Dispatch the fleet, blockade Earth and all human colonies. Show these Deathworlders what happens when they challenge the Council." Little did he know, the humans were counting on exactly that response. Protocol Prometheus, Phase 3, negotiation, would begin only after the Council revealed its true intentions to the galaxy. And on Earth, the final preparations were being made for the day that would be remembered by every species in the galaxy. The Council fleet arrived at Proxima Centauri, the closest human colony to Earth. 500 warships appeared from hyperspace, their weapons charging. The fleet commander, Admiral Zev of the Ardani, transmitted his message to the small human outpost on the third planet. "Attention, human settlement. By order of the Galactic Council, this system is now under blockade. Surrender your weapons and prepare for Council oversight. Resistance will result in your destruction." Admiral Zev waited, confident in his overwhelming force. The humans had only 2 visible defense ships in orbit, small and outdated by Council standards. Victory would be quick and easy. On the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Defiance, Admiral Gray watched the Council fleet with a steady gaze. Behind him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. No panic. No fear. Just readiness. "They've taken the bait," Gray said quietly. "All ships confirm silent running." His communications officer nodded. "Confirmed, sir. Our fleet remains hidden. The Council sees only our 2 decoy vessels." Gray allowed himself a small smile. "Send the signal to Captain Walker. Then broadcast our message to all Council ships. Throughout the galaxy, on countless worlds and stations, beings of all species gathered around communication devices. Major Reed's intelligence network had hacked into the Council's emergency broadcast system. Now, Captain Walker's face appeared, on screens everywhere. "People of the galaxy, my name is Captain James Walker of Earth. For 2 years, my species has endured discrimination, sabotage, and violence at the hands of the Galactic Council leadership. We came to you in peace. We followed your rules. In return, the Council orchestrated attacks on our colonies and plotted our eventual destruction." Walker's eyes were hard as he continued. "Today, the Council has sent 500 warships to blockade our colonies. This is not peacekeeping. This is not security. This is conquest." The broadcast switched to show documents, videos, and recorded Council meetings, all proving the systematic campaign against humanity and other lesser species. "We did not want this conflict," Walker concluded, "but we will not submit to tyranny. Today, humanity stops playing nice." On his flagship, Admiral Zev laughed at the human speech. "Brave words from a doomed species," he said to his officers. "Prepare to—" His words were cut short as 30 human warships suddenly appeared from behind Proxima's moon, their stealth systems deactivating. Before the Council fleet could react, another 40 ships emerged from the system's asteroid belt, on Io. The Defiance, Gray gave the order. "All ships, engage according to Plan Thunderbolt." The human vessels moved with stunning coordination. They were smaller than the Council ships, but faster and more maneuverable. They darted between the larger vessels, targeting engines and weapon systems with surprising precision. "Impossible!" Admiral Zev shouted as his tactical display showed Council ships losing power. "Their weapons shouldn't be capable of penetrating our shields." His second-in-command checked the readings with disbelief. "They're using modified versions of trill-phase technology. Technology they shouldn't have access to." Across Council space, similar scenes unfolded. Human ships appeared, from hiding places near every major Council installation, not attacking civilian targets but systematically disabling military capabilities. On Earth, President Powell addressed her people. "Today, we defend not just our right to exist, but our right to thrive. Humanity will no longer accept second-class status in the galaxy. The battle at Proxima Centauri raged for 6 hours. When it ended, 300 Council ships drifted powerless. The rest had retreated or been destroyed. Human casualties were minimal. Their superior tactics and surprise advantage had won the day. Admiral Gray stood on his bridge, surveying the aftermath. Send medical teams to the disabled Council ships. Treat their wounded. His executive officer looked surprised. Sir? We're not them, Gray said firmly. We don't abandon people to die, even enemies. Besides, he added with a grim smile, I want survivors to tell the story of what happened here. On the Council homeworld, chaos reigned. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human forces had appeared everywhere, striking with impossible coordination. The Trill had openly rebelled, using their positions in administration to paralyze Council operations. The Naran traders had cut off supply lines. Several other species, long mistreated, were rising up against their oppressors. In the Grand Council chamber, High Counselor Dren faced angry representatives from dozens of worlds. How could you let this happen? Demanded the Pelner delegate, his leaf-like appendages shaking with rage. You promised the humans were contained. They are primitives from a backwater death world, Dren shouted back. They shouldn't have been able to develop such technology or strategies. Perhaps you underestimated them, a new voice said. Captain Walker entered the chamber, flanked by Major Reed and Ambassador Kale of the Trill. Guards moved to intercept them, but Walker held up a hand. I wouldn't. There are human ships in orbit above this city. We're here to talk, not fight, unless you prefer the alternative. Dren's silver skin paled to almost white. This is an outrage, an invasion. No, Walker replied calmly. This is a revolution. Species across the galaxy are tired of Council oppression. We've simply given them the opportunity to speak up. He approached the central platform, looking out at the assembled representatives. Many of you knew nothing about the attacks on our colonies. Many of you believed the lies about us. Some of you even tried to warn us. He nodded respectfully to several delegates. We hold no grudge against those who acted in good faith. Reed stepped forward, activating a holographic display. These are the records of every Council action taken against Earth and other lesser species. Every sabotaged shipment, every manipulated treaty, every authorized attack. The evidence was overwhelming. Many representatives looked shocked, others looked away in shame. Your Council leadership has failed you, Walker continued. They chose fear over cooperation, control over partnership. In doing so, they betrayed the founding principles of this galactic union. Ambassador Kale moved to Walker's side. For centuries, my people served silently while being slowly crushed by restrictions. No more. The Trill stand with humanity, as do the Naran, the Pelnar, and many others. High Counselor Dren's voice cut through the murmurs. You think you've won? You have no idea what forces you're playing with. The Council has resources you can't imagine. Resources like planet-killer weapons? Reed asked quietly, bringing up new documents. Yes, we know about those too. Hidden facilities in the Outer Rim. Projects with names like Final Sanction and Purifying Light. Weapons designed to sterilize entire worlds if necessary. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Many delegates had no knowledge of such weapons. Is this true? Demanded the Ardani representative, turning to Dren. Before Dren could respond, alarms blared throughout the complex. A frantic officer burst into the chamber. High Counselor, our long-range sensors have detected a massive hyperspace event near Earth. All our remaining battle groups are converging for an attack. Walker's face hardened. You ordered an attack on Earth itself? Without Council approval? Dren stood tall, all forearms raised in defiance. I did what was necessary to protect the galaxy from your kind. Earth must be cleansed before you spread further. The chamber erupted in chaos. Even species that had supported the Council were shocked by this unauthorized genocide attempt. Walker turned to Reed. Alert Admiral Gray. Earth needs every ship we have. As they rushed from the chamber, Walker glanced back at the arguing Council. The day Deathworlders stopped playing nice had indeed come. And now the greatest test was at hand. Earth's sky burned with the light of battle. Council warships filled the orbital space, their weapons raining destruction on the planet's defense systems. High Counselor Dren had committed his final reserves to this attack. Over 1,000 ships with orders to subdue the Deathworlders' homeworld at any cost. On the ground, citizens watched the flashes in the night sky with a mix of fear and determination. In cities across the planet, people moved with purpose, following emergency protocols that had been established months ago. There was no panic, only resolve. President Powell stood in the Global Defense Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the battle above. Her face remained calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Status report," she demanded. Defense Minister Lopez pointed to the main display. "The Council fleet outnumbers us 3-1. Our orbital platforms are holding, but several defense satellites have been destroyed. Admiral Gray's forces are engaged but scattered across multiple systems." Powell nodded. "And the civilian evacuation?" "Proceeding according to plan. Underground shelters are at 82% capacity. Emergency services are functioning." A communication officer called out, "Madam President, incoming transmission from Captain Walker." Walker's face appeared on the main screen. He looked exhausted but determined. Behind him, the council chamber was in disarray. "Madam President, Dren ordered this attack without council approval. Many species representatives are withdrawing support. Ambassador Kale is coordinating with our allies to send help." "We need it quickly, Captain," Powell replied. "Our defenses won't hold forever." Walker nodded grimly. "I'm on my way back with all available ships. There's something else you should know. Our intelligence indicates the Council fleet has been ordered to deploy planet-killer weapons if conventional attacks fail." The room fell silent. Planet killers were theoretical weapons capable of rendering an entire world uninhabitable. Powell's eyes hardened. "Then we have no choice. Authorize Protocol Prometheus, final phase." In orbit around Earth, the Council fleet commander watched with satisfaction. As human defense systems failed one by one, victory seemed assured. His species had evolved on a gentle world with little gravity and no predators. Like many Council races, he could not understand why anyone would fight so hard. "Target their major population centers," he ordered. "Force their surrender." "Commander," his sensor officer called out. "New contacts appearing at the edge of the system." "Our reinforcements?" he asked. "No, sir. I'm reading. Human signatures. Hundreds of them." The commander rushed to the viewing screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Ships were appearing from hyperspace by the dozens, then hundreds. Not just military vessels, but retrofitted cargo haulers, mining ships, and civilian transports, each one equipped with weapons and shields they shouldn't have possessed. "Impossible," he whispered. "Where did they get such a fleet?" On the bridge of the lead ship, a simple transport vessel now armed for war, stood Maria Chen, a mining colony administrator. Beside her stood doctors, teachers, engineers, ordinary civilians who had trained in secret for this day. "All volunteer. Ships, this is Civilian Defense Leader Chen," she broadcast. "Remember your training. Protect the designated sectors. Support our military vessels. Earth stands together." Across the system, human ships moved into formation. They lacked the firepower of dedicated warships, but they had numbers and determination. Hundreds of civilian vessels joined the battle, creating a defensive screen around their homeworld. Admiral Gray's flagship Defiance burst from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, leading the Earth Defense Fleet back to protect their home. "All ships, battle formation Delta," Gray ordered. "Coordinate with civilian vessels. Focus fire on enemy command ships." The space around Earth became a storm of energy weapons and explosive detonations. Council ships found themselves surrounded as human vessels attacked from all sides. Their superior firepower was countered by human determination and surprising tactics. From the Council homeworld, Ambassador Kale coordinated the response of Earth's allies. Trill ships disabled Council communication networks. Naran vessels blocked reinforcement routes. Pelnar scientists activated disruptive field generators that interfered with Council targeting systems. What had begun as a simple containment operation against a primitive species had transformed into a full-scale galactic conflict. In the Council flagship, the commander received a priority transmission from High Counselor Dren himself. "The humans cannot be allowed to win." Dren's voice was cold. "Deploy the planet killer. End this now." The commander hesitated. Using such a weapon violated galactic law and countless treaties. "Sir, with respect, many Council species have withdrawn support for this action. Using a planet killer would—" "I gave you an order," Dren shouted. "Earth must be made an example of." With reluctance, the commander gave the order. A massive vessel moved into position, its central weapon charging with ominous energy. On the Defiance, Admiral Gray received the alert. "They're deploying the planet killer. All ships, priority target." But the human fleet was stretched thin, engaged with hundreds of Council vessels. They couldn't break through in time. Then, unexpectedly, dozens of Council ships suddenly changed course, attacking their own planet killer vessel. Gray's communications officer looked up in surprise. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Ardani battle group." The face of an Ardani ship captain appeared on screen. "Admiral Gray, this is Captain Morden of the Ardani. Many of us did not know of Dren's plans. We do not condone planet-killing weapons or the slaughter of civilians. We stand with Earth against this atrocity." More Council ships broke formation, turning against those still loyal to Dren. The unified Council fleet fractured as species chose sides. Together, the combined forces of humans, their allies, and defecting Council ships destroyed the planet killer before it could fire. 2 weeks later, Captain Walker stood in the rebuilt Council chamber. Representatives from over 100 species filled the seats, many attending for the first time as equals rather than subordinates. "The old Council is dissolved," Walker announced. "Today we establish the Alliance of Free Worlds, a true partnership of species based on mutual respect and cooperation." Ambassador Kale stood beside him, along with representatives from the Ardani, Pelnar, Naran, and dozens of other species. Each had suffered under the old regime. Each now looked to a new future. "We propose the Terra Accords," Walker continued, "guaranteeing rights for all sentient species regardless of their homeworld's classification. No more Deathworlders or lesser species. No more containment protocols or secret weapons programs." One by one, representatives approached to sign the document. Even several former Council loyalists, having seen the truth of Dren's plans, joined the new alliance. The Ardani representative spoke as he signed. "We feared what we did not understand. We saw your strength and assumed it meant aggression. We were wrong, and many died because of that mistake." Walker nodded solemnly. "Humanity is strong because Earth shaped us to be survivors. But strength can protect as well as harm. The true measure of any species is not their physical power, but how they choose to use it." Years later, in schools across the galaxy, young beings of all species learned about the day that changed everything. A Trill teacher gestured to a holographic display showing the Battle of Earth. "This was the day the Deathworlders stopped playing nice," she told her class of diverse alien children. "But it was also the day they showed their true nature. They fought not to conquer, but to defend. Not for dominance, but for equality." A small Ardani child raised a hand. "Teacher, were humans really as scary as the stories say?" The teacher smiled. "Humans are different from us in many ways. They evolved on a world that challenged them constantly. They grew strong and resilient. But what makes humans truly special is not their strength." She gestured to the window, where humans and aliens work together building a new research center. "What makes humans special is that when they stopped playing nice, they didn't become the monsters others feared. Instead, they created a better galaxy for everyone. That is the true legend every species remembers." Outside, Earth shone brightly in the sky above the colony world, no longer a distant death world to be feared, but the birthplace of the species that had transformed the galaxy. High above, Captain Walker's ship passed into orbit, its mission of diplomacy continuing. The day Deathworlders stopped playing nice had indeed been remembered, not as the beginning of domination, but as the dawn of true cooperation among the stars.